Hello guys, welcome back to our anime explainer. Guys, please like the video and subscribe to my channel, thank you. Today is explanation of upcoming episode of Perfect World based on novel. So let's start. Xiahao soared into the air, and Yu-chan followed behind him, her clothes fluttering about. The two were like divine companions as they disappeared into the limits of the horizon. Peach Blossom Forest, everyone here became stupefied. Only after a long time had passed did they erupt with commotion. Heavens! He is going to kill Immortal Palace's inheritor. This is a major event that will shock all of Immortal Ancient, the effects great and long-lasting. Huang is taking action himself, taking the initiative to attack. This is definitely going to be an earth-shattering event. Fallen flowers were scattering and flying about like snowflakes within the peach tree forest, the pink flower petals filling the skies, sparkling and resplendent, sweet fragrance wafting into the distance. However, it wasn't enough to conceal the commotion here. Huang was going to do something big, about to create a great disturbance. After a long time had passed, this place couldn't remain peaceful any longer. The creatures here spread the news, everyone wanting to witness this battle. Unfortunately, they didn't know where Immortal Palace's inheritor was, selling information about himself, acquiring holy medicines. Huang truly is, everyone didn't know how to describe him. When they thought back to what had just happened, all of them laughed. Immortal Palace is definitely going to vomit blood. To use this kind of capital on an enemy, I truly wonder how they will feel after finding out. All of Immortal Palace's experts in Peach Blossom Forest were killed, but there were still a few small figures Xiahao didn't pay attention to. These people's faces were green and pale, truly feeling sullen. Similarly, those from Underworld Clan, who survived, felt incredibly sullen as well, truly wishing to roar into the sky. This Devil King was too lowly. He had such great divine abilities, yet he was still swindling others, extorting a pile of holy medicines. It truly angered one to death. These individuals without too much strength were one thing, but if news got out, how would those exceptional talents in those strongholds feel? Their lungs would definitely explode from anger. Within a swamp in Green Spirit Realm, there was a strong rotting aura. Not many creatures were willing to reside here. The yin energy was extremely strong, surrounding this place. No sunlight reached this area all year round. The divine striking stone led the way, bringing Xiahao and Qingyi here. It indicated for them to keep silent, because they were already close to the destination. A strong fluctuation of life wafted out from within the depths of the swamp, protecting this place, a formation disk. There was a small altar in the swamp formed from dark red-colored divine materials. An expert sat there, protecting it, eyes closed while absorbing and releasing energy. White-colored energy was released from his mouth and nose, coiling around his body like a dragon. One could tell with just a glance that this was a formidable expert. However, for Xiahao, this wasn't a problem. In his eyes, only Immortal Palace inheritor could be considered an enemy. Those who were guarding the way weren't significant at all. Xiahao retracted his vital energy and silently adjusted his aura. Then, he suddenly acted, the Kuan-Peng technique and Earth to Inches techniques merging together, rushing over like a strand of smoke. At the same time, he supported his only heavenly passage, quickly arriving and surrounding that person. This person opened his eyes. He struggled intensely, wishing to send a message through the altar, but it was already too late. This single heavenly passage restricted everything. No matter how he used precious techniques, summoned weapons, it was all useless. He became weaker and weaker, and then in the end, he couldn't move any longer. The divine striking stone felt a headache. This is most likely some type of wondrous formation. It is a bit troublesome, only able to send special objects, for example, bone books and other things. Creatures most likely can't step on it. Xiahao questioned this individual, but the third general didn't know much, his knowledge limited. You dare. When Xiahao slightly restrained the heavenly passage, this person quickly counterattacked to destroy the altar. Lightning Emperor's technique. Xiahao took action, lightning pouring into his body, blasting him until he was charred black. It was because the two were just too close, so this person couldn't avoid it at all. He flew outwards, landing in the swamp. You aren't even a disciple of Immortal Palace. Why are you so devoted to him? Xiahao asked. I was infected by the green copper rust curse, so I have no choice. If it is activated by Immortal Palace's inheritor, I'll undoubtedly die. He said with grief. His body released a scorched smell after being hacked by lightning, many of his bones broken. Shahao recalled how he suffered from this type of curse in the lower realm, using up an entire year to make it through, crawling out from the grave with great difficulty. This is good as well, a type of freedom. The third general coughed out black-green blood, and then he collapsed onto the ground, losing his life. The space between his brows had long been split apart by lightning. I am going to kill him, Shahao said with a low voice. He was going to kill Immortal Palace's inheritor no matter what. The divine striking stone thought bitterly to himself, trying to decipher the coordinates of the other end of this strange altar. It wanted to find where exactly Immortal Palace's inheritor was. It's not too bad. I've previously seen this type of transport formation on a bone book, so I can deduce its whereabouts. The divine striking stone was able to acquire a breakthrough far faster than what they had anticipated, deducing a set of coordinates. He then borrowed this altar to put everything in order. The preparations were ready. The altar illuminated, opening up a silver path to an unknown territory. Go. Shahao rushed in. You all aren't scared that he cultivated a strand of immortal energy. The consequences of barging in like this are far from reassuring. The divine striking stone said. Qingyi revealed a faint smile. Forget about how difficult it is to take that step. If he really did succeed, with his nature, he would have emerged from isolation a long time ago to challenge all sides. Indeed. Shahao nodded. The silver passageway was blurry, continuously flickering about with radiance. Soon after, they reached its end. Shahao held a great halberd in hand, his entire body covered densely by symbols, preparing to release the most powerful attack. He was going to rush out and immediately hack down. However, soon after, he was left stunned. This was a great yellow desert. There wasn't anyone here, with not a single blade of grass growing here. The divine striking stone set up formation banners to neutralize the surrounding formation. It also transmitted mentally, 10 steps left, 15 steps forward. It was pointing out the way forward. Shahao was like a streak of transient light, immediately slaughtering his way into the ancient cave. Not only did he release lightning, Kuan Peng wings appeared on his back as well. In addition, the great halberd in his hands also hacked out. A pair of eyes opened in the chaotic energy, shining like blood-colored lamps. It was extremely frightening. This creature's reaction speed was extremely fast, resisting with all of its power. The cave erupted, divine force surging. Deafening sounds of metal clashing rang through the air. Something's not right. It isn't Immortal Palace inheritor. Qingyi was shocked. She stood guard outside the cave, ready to take action at any time. How did you all find this place? The voice that sounded from within the ancient cave was extremely muffled, yet it shook the void until it trembled. If it was a normal person, their souls would have left their flesh shell and been crushed. Who are you, actually knowing the human immortal imprint? Shahao was shocked. This wasn't Immortal Palace's inheritor, yet it knew the sex-restricted divine ability. What is this thing? It's so large. The divine striking stone was shocked. Inside that ancient cave, chaotic energy curled around an enormous beast. It was incomparably terrifying, magical force overflowing into the heavens. This creature exchanged several dozen blows with Shahao head-on, yet it unexpectedly didn't explode and die. Soon after, the two slaughtered their way out. Qingyi saw this creature's true appearance. It had a dragon head and a crocodile body, its entire body a dark red color. Gold scales shone about it. It stood on 2 legs, its height more than 10 jong tall. Its eyes were like blood-colored lamps, enormous and scarlet, dragon-blooded ancestral crocodile. Qingyi cried out with alarm, reminding Shahao that this was a rare species that was incomparably powerful. From what she knew, only Immortal Palace had 2 of them. They protected the mountain gate, living from the archaic era to the present age. This was clearly not one of those 2, not that powerful. It was quite likely that this was their child. Dragon-blooded ancestral crocodiles had dragon blood, and had the vicious crocodile as its ancestor. When cultivated to its ultimate realm, it could turn into a true dragon, and shatter the 9 heavens, its divine power unmatched. This one was more powerful than many exceptional talents Shahao had encountered, able to fight him head-on. Its enormous claws' casual attack could destroy a mountain, and make the void cave in. In addition, it even understood Immortal Palace's secret methods, and its blood essence was overflowing into the heavens. It was terrifying beyond compare. If a normal true deity came, they wouldn't even be its opponent. They would be crushed into meat paste by a single claw. This creature was just too powerful. You are just a slave of Immortal Palace inheritor. Where is he? I am the first battle general. I have never been a servant. The dragon-blooded ancestral crocodile roared, its red eyes releasing killing radiance, shooting out like two beams of blood-colored lightning. It loathed being called Immortal Palace's servant. Killing intent surged, incomparably berserk. It was simply about to destroy this desert. In the end, it still wasn't Shahao's match. Shahao believed that he already found the important place. This child of the vicious crocodiles protecting Immortal Palace was naturally loyal and devoted to Immortal Palace's inheritor. There was definitely a reason for him standing guard here. The isolated island was split apart, the plant life half destroyed. Only the mountain was undamaged. Multicolored light emerged from the ancient cave, accompanied by wisps of primal chaos. This was a divine cave with formations protecting this place, and that was why this place was still intact after the battle. Shahao carefully sensed his surroundings, but in the end, he couldn't help but sigh. He was left disappointed, because his enemy wasn't here, an altar. Qing Yi said. She found a faint golden altar in the ancient cave that was simple and ancient. It led to an unknown place. His natural disposition is to be suspicious, not even trusting the ancestral crocodile, and heading for another place himself. All types of information are reported through the dragon-blooded ancestral crocodile. Shahao said. The golden altar was just like the one in the swamp, still a part of a network, not leading to Immortal Palace inheritor's place of isolation. However, it was a bit closer. If nothing unexpected happened, they would find him in the next secret realm. We're rich, great natural luck. The divine striking stone cried out strangely. It deciphered the formation, and then it opened a treasury. All types of radiance immediately rushed out like a tide. In that place, the divine materials were piled up like a small mountain, all of them shining. These were all heavenly treasures. The ancestral crocodile helped him collect all types of treasures, and they are all piled up here. It truly is a place of natural luck. Even Qing Yi's beautiful eyes were blinking, releasing extraordinary splendor. The treasures here were extremely shocking, all of them rare divine materials of different types. They could be used to lay formations, create weapons, and other things. Everything that should be here was here. Apart from this, there was a pile of holy medicines sealed within jade containers, the amount shockingly great. Apart from this, there were more than 10 stalks of half-divine medicines, resplendent and rich with fragrance. Shahao laughed loudly. They received a great harvest this time, after raiding Immortal Palace inheritor's secret nest. All of the treasures accumulated from various inhabited areas were here. He didn't have time to bring them away. Qing Yi said. When the divine striking stone saw rare or materials, it directly opened its mouth and devoured them with gabang-gabang sounds. There were quite a bit of wondrous stones here, all of them top-level materials. Shahao and Qing Yi took inventory of everything, and then they were both shocked. There were just too many good things. If they were brought out from Immortal Ancient, they could definitely be sold for a tremendous amount of wealth. What kind of stone material is this? When they checked all of the divine materials, they saw a pile of ore that didn't seem all that special. Mine. The divine striking stone immediately rushed over, chewing on a piece with kenkchi sounds. In the end, as soon as it swallowed it, it spat it out, cursing continuously. There were others who said that this was a rare treasure of heaven and earth produced by mountains and rivers, a natural product of the world, good stuff. If there is an immortal core inside, why can't I see it? Shahao found some in the stone materials, yet he couldn't tell which piece of stone had stone cores. This type of stone materials cannot be seen through by normal divine eyes. Qing Yi said. Shahao produced the jewel pupil, reflecting the pile of materials. Qing Yi also moved over, her wonderful body like a refined and straight divine lotus that bloomed, releasing a fragrance that was incomparably gentle and beautiful. There really is a stone core inside. Shahao was extremely happy. Inside this large pile of stone materials, there was one piece that released golden light. The jewel pupil could see that there was a golden core inside. This is too great. Qing Yi was so happy she almost cried out, appearing quite different from her ordinarily pure and holy temperament. The two of them moved, carefully cutting apart this stone material, producing a golden-colored, immortal core from within. How do you use it? Shahao frowned. Qing Yi said, directly drop it into the eye and it would suffice. This is a divine object that can make the blind's eyes become like lightning, recovering its vitality, able to speed up the formation of the heavenly eye. The divine striking stone was eager to give it a try. It claimed that even though it was a stone, it could also use it as a baptism. In the end, it was slapped to the side by the two of them, telling it to stop causing trouble. Let's all give it a try. Shahao said. His heavenly eye had long begun taking form, forming mysterious symbols within the depths of his pupils, on the verge of being produced. Now that there was this stone core, it should be able to open without a doubt. You should try it first. I'll stand guard for you. Your heavenly eye has already showed the initial stages of forming, so the effects should be better. Qing Yi said. Shahao didn't act too politely. He sat down, and while holding the golden stone core, carefully tore apart the golden skin. Golden liquid immediately flowed out. The ancient cave became full of a strong fragrance. This golden liquid's fragrance was too tempting, making one want to give it a bite. Shahao carefully dropped it into his eyes. He felt a refreshing feeling, and then his eyes immediately felt a stinging pain. Symbols covered them densely, suffused with life force. His eyes released two beams of electricity. He could clearly see symbols condensing in an incomparably complex manner. That was the opening of the heavenly eye. It does have divine effects after all, speeding up the formation of the heavenly eye. Qing Yi sighed with astonishment. This process was quite slow. Shahao wasn't impatient for results, waiting for the discomfort in his eyes to disappear. Then, he extracted a bit of golden liquid from the stone core again, smearing it over his eyes. An hour later, the stone core was no longer effective for him, his eyes no longer showing any changes. He thus stopped. Shahao closed his eyes and silently comprehended for a long time. He then suddenly opened his eyes. In that instant, two streaks of symbol-formed beams of light shot out, rushing out from the cave with incomparable brilliance. In reality, this was still the start of its opening. The true martial Dao heavenly eye had many other shocking areas that would be revealed as his cultivation increased. All types of divine abilities would manifest themselves one after another. How are the effects? Qing Yi asked. Excellent. Shahao nodded, handing the stone core to her. He only used a small half, because he already developed the initial form, able to produce the heavenly eye symbols at any time. Qing Yi accepted it, but didn't use it immediately. She felt that she had to wait until her mind and body were clear, or when she cultivated a few eye techniques before using it, as the effects would be more prominent then. She sealed it inside of a jade bottle. What is happening to you? Qing Yi looked towards Shahao, noticing that his eyes became symbols, a faint golden light scattering on her body without dissipating. Nothing, just seeing how your charm is heaven-made, feeling that your future accomplishments are great. Shahao said half-heartedly to get by, his eyes flickering with light. You, Qing Yi immediately became furious, reacting quickly. This fella's heavenly eye had now initially formed, able to see through things. He was looking at her body. She immediately displayed great techniques to protect her body, blocking out the heavenly eye symbols. Shahao could see a pure white, wonderful body that sparkled with snow-white radiance. Curves rose and fell, elegant and exquisite, perfect without any flaws. You better close your eyes and stop using the heavenly eye. Qing Yi berated and began to hit him. Shahao pulled a straight face, boasting shamelessly, my heavenly eye has already formed, so I am exhausting divine force to help you examine your soul, to see if you have any hidden dangers in your process of cultivation. Qing Yi naturally wouldn't believe his nonsense. He had just opened up the heavenly eye, inspecting the soul my ass. He could only see the flesh body. With a raise of her hand, a streak of symbols flew out, blasting forward. Immediately afterwards, the green moon released radiance, surrounding her body, isolating it from the world. How come I can't see through anymore? Shahao was confused. He suddenly realized that he blurted this out without thinking, immediately adding, I was saying how come I couldn't see a soul anymore. Go look at ghosts instead. A streak of green divine flames flew over from Qing Yi, almost landing on his body. He hurriedly moved out of the way. The symbols in Shahao's eyes receded, his eyes recovering their normal state. Even though his eyes were clear, he didn't show any repentance, muttering, it's not like I didn't see it before. What did you say? Qing Yi's large eyes widened, her perfect jade face flushing with redness, her voice increasing an octave. She was originally a pure and refined lady with an otherworldly temperament, but every time she was with Shahao, her emotions would always be incited greatly. Nothing. Shahao turned around and began to check the other rare materials. Then, the two of them moved, collecting everything in the ancient cave, not leaving a single item behind. One could imagine how angry Immortal Palace's inheritor would be once he found out. These were all his, yet now, everything was looted in such an unbridled manner, already changing owners, using his stone core to cleanse our eyes, increasing the opening of our heavenly eyes. If he found out, I wonder what kind of expression he would have. Maybe he'll go mad. Shahao said, he is cultivating in isolation, so if we go over and tell him what happened, he won't go crazy, right? The divine striking stone said with clearly unkind intentions. It began to research the golden altar, wishing to reach that place through here. Shahao sat down to silently adjust his breath, raising his body's condition to the peak. The martial Tao heavenly eye was now in its initial stages of forming, and his divine senses became even sharper. This golden altar was clearly many times more complex than the swamp's altar. Even after spending a long time on researching this thing, the divine striking stone still couldn't figure it out. It was left incomparably bitter. This altar is quite unordinary. It is hard for me to figure it out even after studying all types of bone books. The divine striking stone felt a headache, unable to see through the mysteries even after an extremely long time. Should be a formation brought out from Immortal Palace. Qingyi came to this conclusion, speaking about a few formations she knew about. She didn't research altars intensively, but she knew a few wondrous formations' effectiveness and powers. This gave the divine striking stone some inspiration, giving him a bit of insight, made a bit of progress. The divine striking stone said to itself. It then looked at Shahao and said, what kind of divine abilities does Immortal Palace have? Explain them to me a bit. The formation is wide-ranging and profound. No matter which inheritance it is, their scripture meanings are unchanged, their precious techniques and formations having similarities. The divine striking stone revealed a rare bit of seriousness. Even though this wasn't enough for it to directly see through the formation, it would allow it to understand a bit more about this ancient sect style, thus helping its analysis of the golden altar's various symbols. This sect is formidable after all. The divine striking stone was greatly shaken. When it deciphered a corner of the golden symbols and undid the ancient altar's mysterious veil, it was left horrified. I am the golden altar. It saw a few familiar traces. It had seen that type of thing before in Stone Village. The Willow deity had previously laid a similar type of formation patterns. It is rumored that Immortal Palace's origins are mysterious, coexisting with the world. No one knows how many years they had existed for. They might be an inheritance left behind by human immortals. Qingyi said. Heaven-mending sect and Immortal Palace moved quite closely together, so she knew a few secrets related to human immortals. The Willow deity's origins are terrifying. The divine striking stone shivered. Stone Village had a great formation protecting it, something the Willow deity personally laid in the lower realm before it left. The divine striking stone had witnessed it, something that it had thought about for quite some time. And now, in the golden altar, it saw something similar, complex and profound, leaving it shocked. This also made Shahao shiver inwardly. The things that came from Immortal Palace were terrifying after all. This made him become even more cautious, not daring to carry any contempt inside. The divine striking stone no longer said anything. After seeing through the outer golden symbols, undoing the outer fog, it inspected the core formation again and again, confirming the similarities between this one and the one the Willow deity established. This thing is quite ancient. It is difficult for those of the present world to lay it. It came to this conclusion. Those are the changes of the human immortal symbols. There was no way the divine striking stone could completely see through the core patterns. There was no way to arrange this type of formation, but it could be used. I've seen it before in Stone Village and know how to operate it. This should be enough. Despite this being the case, it was still extremely careful out of fear of producing some type of mistake. It was because the slightest mishap could result in unimaginable consequences. I understand and roughly perceived the coordinates. Even though it's not too precise, the rough area shouldn't be wrong. Then let's go on our way. Shahao said. He had long made his resolution to continue, adjusting his body to its optimal state. We need to be careful. Qingyi reminded. She stood by his side. We cannot use this altar. If there is something I didn't understand too clearly, once we step in, there might be a danger of death. The divine striking stone said. There were many divine materials here. It set up a transport formation, without any worry of lacking heavenly materials. Then, with saliva dripping about, it collected that golden altar, treating it like spoils of war. When we have time, I'll research it completely. Who knows, it might be the same as obtaining a great killing method, immortal escape method, or a secret technique. It said smugly. The altar's construction was finished. It pierced through the void, opening up a hazy passage. They walked inside. Inside the passageway, brilliant lights flowed about, everything being indistinct up to the other end, arrived. Be careful. Qingyi warned, fearing that Xiahao at the front might suffer from something unexpected. She already supported the green lunar flame, ready to provide assistance at any moment. The one that should be careful is him, Xiahao said. His body was tall and strong, his black hair hanging down to his waist. With the great halberd in hand, he directly rushed forward. Sure enough, it was as they expected. There was some deviation, not entering a divine ancient land. This was a wild forest where apes and tigers roared. There wasn't any spiritual elegance to be seen, there shouldn't be any mistake. It is definitely within a range of 1,000 li. The divine striking stone said. This wasn't too far, but it wasn't a short amount of distance either. They restrained their auras and started to search through the mountain forest for Immortal Palace Inheritor's place of isolation, a dangerous place. When they arrived in this mountain range, they were immediately given a fright. There were too many bugs around them, all of different species. Many of them already developed intelligence, devouring the sun and moon's essence. They hid within rocks and plants, poisonous mist coiling around them. The closer they went, the darker the skies became. That was a gathering of poisonous bugs, a fog produced by the poison they took in and sent out. Xiahao gave it a try. The mists unexpectedly corroded divine force. There were many scorpions, as well as other unknown bugs. So strange. Don't tell me there are some bug emperors here, right? It's too vicious. Even deities would suffer a disaster after entering. The divine striking stone said. Even someone as powerful as him feared the corrosive poison of these bugs. Xiahao used the void halberd to cut apart the void, moving through the air to avoid these vicious bugs. There were some places that were truly dangerous, with scorpions and poisonous creatures covering entire mountains and valleys. It was terrifying to the extreme. There were also ravines with centipedes wriggling about everywhere, some half-meter in length, others several zhong in length. It made one's scalp feel numb from looking at them. There were even a few mountain peaks, where enormous and sparkling spider webs hung between them. Those poisonous spiders varied from the size of a fist to the size of a person's calf. They were brightly colored, and there were even some that were pure golden. They were clearly terrifying creatures. How could it be like this? Even Xiahao felt a wave of fear. There were too many bugs here, covering the mountains and plains. Not even deities could enter. It was because many of them were divine bugs, all of them able to take the lives of divine flame realm experts. This was quite unreasonable. Why did they all gather here? Could it be that there really was a bug emperor? Hurry and look over there. Qingyi pointed in a direction. Xiahao turned around and looked to the east. Under the thick layer of poisonous mist, a sphere of light was flickering like a moon trying to break out from dark clouds. It descended. He opened his heavenly eye, immediately looking through everything in his way, seeing the true scenery. He was immediately shocked, sucking in a cold breath of air. There was a mountain there that wasn't extremely tall, but was wide and spacious, imposing and majestic. It was as if a Tao platform was towering there. There was a boundless energy blowing over. At the summit was an ancient tree that released tens of thousands of streaks of multicolored light, and thousands of streaks of divine rainbows. Every leaf flickered like stars, coiling with divine splendor. This was without a doubt a divine tree that was incomparably ancient. That tree trunk was enormous and cracked, the pieces of bark like dragon scales. Its trunk was entirely red in color, winding into the skies like a scarlet dragon. As for its leaves and branches, they were like pieces of jade, replete and sparkling, but their colors were all different, some spotlessly white like jade, some flickering with golden light, some black like underworld steel, some with deep purple multicolored light. When one looked at it as a whole, it was flowing with brilliant colors and tens of thousands of streaks of multicolored lights. It was exceptionally divine, an ancient divine tree. Xiahao was startled awake. His heart was greatly shaken. He never expected to see a sacred divine medicine here. It was extremely large, several tens of zhong tall. If the tree was eaten like an ancient medicine, it would be simply unimaginable. Xiahao cut open the void with the void halberd, bringing Qingyi and the divine striking stone over, arriving at an optimal location that avoided the various poisonous bugs. He carefully looked at it. Qingyi could see it, and she was similarly shocked. The feeling this ancient tree gave off was too powerful. From a certain perspective, the divine tree was even more precious than flower and plant-shaped divine medicines. After all, a tree was much larger, and the medicinal effects it carried would be much greater. Even though it was still the concentration of essence that was important, once it reached a certain degree, it would still be extremely shocking. Something's not right. The aura of experts here is too great. Qingyi was startled, feeling many true deity auras pervading the air, completely undisguised. Shahao had long discovered this. He was also carefully observing. These experts were all poisonous bugs, but they were far more powerful than the poisonous creatures outside. There were dragon-horned toads, golden centipedes with wings, and brightly colored scorpions surrounded by a divine ring. They were all different colors, the auras they released astonishing. These were all true deities, a large group of them. All of them were in different locations, taking in and sending out poisonous energy towards this ancient tree, absorbing the radiance the divine tree released. 10,000 creatures are kneeling and bowing with worship. What are they doing? What kind of background does this ancient tree have? All of their expressions changed. Upon closer inspection, they saw that there were a few divine bug corpses under the tree that were unexpectedly at the heavenly deity level. Heavens, what kind of background does this tree have? Even the divine striking stone couldn't help but cry out. Shahao frowned. Those corpses died in rather strange ways. Some of them still displayed vitality, only, it seemed like they had entered a state of sleep. So they were not much different from being dead. Immortal ancients natives generally wouldn't leave their respective tribal areas, or else unexpected things would happen. Could it be that these dead heavenly deities are related to this? Also, it is easier for descendants from outside immortal ancients to display problems, going mad once they reach heavenly deity level, or directly die. Qingyi said. Shahao nodded. The heavenly deities under the ancient tree likely belonged to those types of situations. Suddenly, Qingyi vaguely recalled something that had been recorded down. She cried out with shock. I think I know what it is. It's the 10,000 poison tree. Even though it was a divine tree, it contained all types of poisons, giving it the title 10,000 poisons. For normal deities, this was fatal, but for the poisonous bugs, it was the most precious tree. It had 10,000 poison divine fruits which, upon being ingested, if one could hold on and not die, one could immediately become a heavenly deity. It was just like the fruit of a heavenly deity tree. For normal cultivators, eating a single fruit would allow them to become a heavenly deity, the divine effects terrifying. How unfortunate, we can't eat it. Shahao felt regretful. In the past, it wasn't that no one ate it before. In the end, they made it through and became a poisonous heavenly deity, all creatures in their way dying, none able to withstand their poison power. Qingyi said. Shahao's mind was moved. He looked at the ancient tree. Under the branches, between the leaves, there were indeed a few fruits. However, they weren't mature yet, still underripe. Wu, let's remember this place. In the future, we might truly need to come here to pick them. Shahao said. Turns out that Immortal Palace Inheritor was hiding here, indeed a place not easy to find. Who would want to come to this type of dangerous place normally? The divine striking stone said, discovering a few clues. Under that 10,000 poison tree, there was a formation protecting that area. Next to its roots was a hazy gate that led to an ancient land. It was surrounded by formation patterns, isolated from the outside world. Something strange. The formation Immortal Palace laid really is too similar to the one Willow deity set up in Stone Village, likely formations that came from the same era. The divine striking stone was shocked. I had previously heard that Immortal Palace's inheritance is related to immortals, inseparably linked to the last great era. Qingyi said. Shahao was speechless. He thought back to the battlefield he saw the first time he opened the three-world coffin. There was a willow tree there that looked exactly the same as the willow deity, powerful and matchless, surrounded by immortal light as it unleashed a slaughter. If it is this type of formation, then it is much easier. I can bring us in. The divine striking stone said, if we enter like this, do you think he'll be scared out of his mind? The divine striking stone laughed strangely. If the other person was cultivating in isolation, about to break through, about 90% there, but suddenly frightened while immersed in a deep state of Tao comprehension, there would definitely be a great problem. At worst, he might directly die. Let's go. He offered a bounty to kill me, so I have to treat him like this. Let's first scare him until half his body is paralyzed. Shahao said, his eyes forceful. This video will end here. Thank you for watching.